This morning, we continue to gather more information from the Texas Hill Country as search and rescue crews work nonstop to locate those missing, while sadly confirming more deaths at the same time. Officials say the death toll in Kerr County is now at 43. 15 of those are children. The total number of missing people is still unknown, and officials have reported 27 children from Camp Mystic, an all-girls camp, are still missing. More than 1,300 crews are on the ground, rescuing more than 850 people. Governor Abbott expanded a state disaster declaration to include more counties. He also signed a federal disaster declaration unlocking more aid and resources for the flood-ravaged region. As for those power outages we told you about yesterday, affecting around 3,000 customers, at last checked, they have been nearly fully restored. We're bringing you live team coverage once again this morning, covering this truly tragic situation. We start with Amanda Henderson, who joins us live from the center of it all in Kerrville. Amanda, when we saw you yesterday, we could hear that river still roaring behind you with all that damage left behind. What's the biggest difference you're seeing this morning, and what other updates do you have for us?
The biggest difference is that we can tell Louise Hayes Park is a park. I want you guys to take a look. So if you see right here, right in front of you where the water is going over the edge, that is the normal area for where the Guadalupe is supposed to be. But if you've been following our coverage, you know that for the past few days, this entire park has been underwater. This is the first time we're getting a real look at the ground. I want to see if we can zoom in. There is actually a chunk of the ground missing at the corner edge of where the water is going. So if we follow the trail of the water and we just go up, essentially on the right, there's going to be that chunk of ground missing. That to me is incredibly demonstrative of how powerful this storm is. Of course, we have the debris out there in the distance that has been there since yesterday morning when we were able to first get a glimpse at it. But this is a park where festivals are held. This is likely from their 4th of July festival that obviously did not happen. There was a lot of preparation for that. And then if we go to our left, I mean, you just see the trees. I don't think there's anything more powerful than just looking at this when you talk about how strong and how tall this water was that came this way. I mean, we're talking 34 feet from the bottom of the park to the top of the bridge. And you can tell that some of these trees were extremely destroyed. And look at the debris in the trees. That's where you can tell how tall the water was, because that's where you can see items actually making their way in. I mean, I'm just looking out here. I don't even know how to begin to think of the cleanup for this area. This is going to take a lot to put together, and of course our hearts and our thoughts go out to every single person impacted who has lost a loved one or is still waiting for those answers. We'll be out here all morning, and we're going to be bringing you guys the very latest. But for now, Trayson, I'm live in Kerrville, and we'll send it back to you in studio.
Yeah, Amanda, the images from that park, very different than yesterday, but those trees, as you said, really say it all. Thank you so much for that report. Meanwhile, right now, two brothers who went camping late last week are grateful to be back here at home in Houston, safe. They were among hundreds of people who were spared from the dangerous flooding that damaged Camp La Junta in Hunt, Texas. Michelle Choi joins us now live with more on their story. Good morning, Michelle. I know the two brothers and their families just so grateful this morning.
Hey there, Trayson. Good morning. Yeah, absolutely. You know, we've been covering the heartbreaking search for those who are still missing. But as you mentioned, this morning we do have some good news to share. Two young boys from Houston are back home safe after their summer camp turned into a rescue zone. As you mentioned, they were among the campers at La Camp Junta when floodwaters came pouring in. Take a look. This is cell phone video shot just a few days ago showing Brock and Braden Davis excited and ready for camp, rolling their suitcases and getting ready to board a bus. But soon after arriving, severe storms hit and they woke up to floodwaters rising inside their cabin. One of the brothers says he even climbed into the rafters to get to higher ground before camp leaders were finally able to pull them down to safety.
Well, I wake up like 4 in the morning. I hear screaming from outside later on I find out that someone's cabin flooded and they were outside in the middle of rain.
We jumped up to another bed, like a top bunk, and like our bed starting tipping over, and like we got to the top really quick, and then we like this, and then like one of the walls like fall down.
Yeah, with no electronics to contact their parents, the brothers say they were moved cabin to cabin, huddling with other kids as counselors worked to keep everyone calm. They ended up spending 13 hours waiting before they were finally moved to a dry, safe place to sleep.
Trunks were floating everywhere, so they came into our cabin, and someone told me that when they were walking around campgrounds, that they saw that cabin 5, which was the cabin right next to Brock's, their wall had fallen over.
And my door like flooded away.
Yeah, those boys went on to say that they are thankful to those counselors who stayed by their side, offering them snacks and reassurance until help arrived. As for their parents, well, they say it wasn't until their sons were back home safe that, the true weight of just how devastating this could have been hit them and how incredibly lucky they are. Trayson, it's a sentiment any parent can share.
Absolutely. I mean, just amazing to hear that firsthand account from those 2 young boys. Unbelievable. Thanks so much for that report, Michelle. All right, new this morning, we're hearing from some neighbors in Kerr and surrounding counties still reeling from the sights and sounds that they woke up to just over 48 hours ago. Tonya Fusi is actually from Pennsylvania, but was visiting her grandmother in Comfort, Texas, right along the Guadalupe. By the time she woke up on Friday, she could hear the rain coming down in buckets.
The devastation was such that I'm still in shock today. And with the rescues going on and the helicopters, you just know there's so many missing children and missing people. You just want them to be found for the sakes of the families. But it's not going to be a good ending.
I mean, obviously a terrifying situation there. She adds neighbors were running door to door, desperately trying to help anyone they could. And as you heard Amanda mention, we're expecting another update from local officials at 10 this morning. You can watch that on the KHOU 11 Plus app for smart TVs. And right now on KHOU.com, we have links to the latest updates, ways to track flash flooding in real time, and much more.